ready to get started.
Throws it for the goal line touchdown.
Set time for Aiden Hutchinson again.
Fires up top.
The catch, right him up.
Field, and that ball is intercepted.
Throws it for the goal line touchdown.
Pressure coming.
Throws that ball for the end zone. The pass. It's caught. That's Garner.
10. Wow, what a play. Dances his way into the end zone.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are now on the clock.
Welcome, everybody, to Mock Draft Live, presented by FedEx. We are 9 days away from the draft. We're ready for the shocks, the surprises, the winners, the losers, all the badness in between. It is Move the Stick season here at NFL Network. Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks here on set. And today we are judging Peter Schrager's latest mock draft 2.0. And with the draft a little over a week away, it's looking like we're going to see defenders go back-to-back right off the top of night one. We haven't seen that since 2000, and it's only happened 5 times in the past 40 years. As you can see right there, in 2000, that was the last time it happened. So Peter Schrager, let's bring you in here. You are also aligned with defenders going 1 and 2. I know you poured yourself into this mock, all the energy it took for you to do this, and you do so much work, calling all over the place. So let's give the people what they want. Your picks, starting with the Jaguars' new pass rusher, Trayvon Walker.
Let's go with it. I went for it. The winds have been speaking Trayvon's name for weeks now. I know our colleague Charles Davis went there, and a lot of people rolled their eyes, but this is based on Trent Baalke, the general manager. Usually when we have a #1 overall pick, we know it by now, and I mean that. Myles Garrett, we knew. Andrew Luck, we knew. This one, it's not decided on Aiden Hutchinson, and time again, Trent Baalke has taken the physical specimen, the more versatile player athletically, than the sure thing when he was in San Francisco. Number 2, I go Aiden Hutchinson, and I don't think it would take Detroit very long to put that card in. Geographical ties to Michigan aside, he fits everything they're trying to build there. Chris Spielman, Dan Campbell, this is their type of player. Tough, hard-nosed, all about that team, and also a safer bet. A safer bet in that we know this guy's going to probably play 10 years in the league. Now, whether he's the next Bosa brother or he's Trey Hendrickson, I'm not sure where he is, but this is my top 5. And I go defense, and a bit of a shocker up top with Trayvon Walker.
I love it. As you can see, the rest here of Peter's top 5, as you just mentioned, Ike Ekwonu, the offensive tackle to the Texans. The Jets grab Robert Saleh, an edge rusher, and Kayvon Thibodeau. And then at 5, the Giants zig and take offensive tackle Charles Cross over Evan Neal. Cornerback Sauce Gardner falls out of the top 5, and he'll wait even longer because at 6, Peter has the Panthers drafting this quarterback.
Kenny throws a dime. End zone touchdown. Kenny Pickett fires a straight.
Kenny Pickett, quarterback.
So he faked the slide. Sauce time.
2021 ACC Player of the Year.
Well, Peter, Matt Rule never got a chance to coach Pickett at Temple. Instead, their partnership begins in the NFL with the Panthers.
Look, they have the 6th pick, and then their next pick is the 137th pick. There is a giant enigma at the quarterback position, and Kenny Pickett could play quarterback tomorrow for an NFL team. He might be the only prospect that I feel comfortable saying that about. Look, it's not ideal. I've said this before, and it might not do great for the NFL draft ratings, but all 5 of the quarterbacks in last year's first round would be the first quarterback taken in this draft. I feel confident saying that. This is not a good quarterback draft. It's not. Just simply isn't.
No.
Kenny Pickett is the best of the bunch. In Carolina, they need themselves a quarterback. I don't think they're going to roll out the ball with just Sam Darnold and hopefully Baker Mayfield, whoever. I think Pickett is as good an option as any. And his connection not only with Matt Rule from when he was recruited at Temple, but also Pittsburgh, where $14.7 billion man David Tepper is a graduate.
That is true, and this potentially could be Matt Rule's 3rd different starting quarterback in as many seasons. Maybe 3rd time is the charm here, but
I would just like the 0.7,
Okay.
by the way. He can keep the 14. Just let it, we do great work with that 0.7.
It's true. It's true. Bucky, what makes Pickett the first quarterback off the board here?
experience leads to expertise, and you watch Kenny Pickett throughout his time. He has been able to really master running an offense at Pittsburgh. When you go to the tape, there's a lot of things that you look at. It's being able to push it down the field. You see him there, drop a teardrop down the chimney. Then it's the anticipation. You see it driving it right over the middle of the field, in between an open window, boop, right over the head of the referee. You have to like those kinds of things. But it's not just being able to do it from a grassy knoll right behind the center. He can do it on the move. He has playmaking ability that I believe is underrated. But then it's the sudden reactions, being able to change, just make plays. This is a big-time player who has a lot of experience, and we saw him grow into his game. And because of that, he ends up in the National Football League ready to rock day one.
Yeah, I think that an ideal world for Carolina would be kind of the Pickett Plus plan, which is you're able to trade back a little bit. You get Kenny Pickett, then you're also able to get some other players that can help your team. As Peter mentioned, not picking again till the 4th round. This team is more than a few players away, and it is go time right now. You have a very wealthy owner who wants to win right now. Matt Rule needs more help than just one player in Kenny Pickett. So I know they'd love to get out and still get him. I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Yeah, and Pickett, if they do end up getting him, he's already played at Carolina's Bank of America Stadium in the ACC Championship, so he's familiar with the area already. It works out. Let's circle back, though, to Peter's top 5, where we have the Jets getting edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau 4th overall. That's in Peter's mock. And so at this point, when you look at what the Jets need in terms of the defense, corner or edge, which is more of a top priority, Bucky?
Well, I mean, I think obviously you have to think about like the edge rusher position being a top priority because you want to get after the passer. And this is a team that has been looking for that person. They haven't been able to do it. And so when you're trying to play against the quarterbacks that you're playing in this division, you got to be able to knock them down. And as much as I love Sauce Gardner and some of the other corners in this class, I don't know if they can cover all the weapons at the disposal. But I do know a top-flight rusher can knock the quarterback down, and it's hard to throw from you back.
Yeah, and that's a scheme. If you go back to follow that scheme all the way back through, they believe in building front to back. To me, I just think there's going to be higher grades and a better player in Sauce Gardner than the edge rushers that exist. And I think because of the depth of the edge rushers, they pick at 10, they pick at 35, they pick at 38. You know, I don't feel they have to have all that pressure. We have to get one right here at 4. They'll have other options.
Okay, fair enough. So Ahmad Gardner, he falls, Peter, but not very far, heading to the other New York, New Jersey team, the Giants, with pick number 7.
Yeah, and look, they would get Cross and Sauce, and I think the New York Post would have a field day with those back pages there. Wink Martindale's defense is basically blitz 10 guys and let one cornerback do what he does on an island. This would be a dream come true for Wink if he was to get Sauce Gardner. I know that this team would be feeling very good if Sauce fell all the way to 7. It's a possibility. If offensive tackle, quarterback, and defensive end are what goes off the board, I think Sauce will be the next player taken.
That would be a perfect fit, too, for Wink Martindale's defense. Then you have the Falcons up next, and Terry Fontenot skips a wide receiver and takes Evan Neal, who just falls right into their lap.
I think DJ has spoken on this also. They are in pure best player available mode. They're not a player away, the Falcons. It's Kyle Pitts, and then you're kind of searching the roster for that other impact player. If Evan Neal falls to 8, there's nothing wrong with Evan Neal. Like, I have not heard a negative thing on Evan Neal.
So much versatility.
I know that I think, yeah, and I've got the Giants going over with crossover Neal. Neal falls to 8, and here we go. This is the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, so closing in on the last couple of picks in Peter's top 10, the Seahawks go with cornerback Derek Stingley, another LSU DB to team up there with Jamal Adams.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, that connection right there. I think Stingley, if he was able to come out of the draft his first year at LSU, he might have been a top 5 pick. Coming off the injury, they're saying that he's 100%. He's viewed, it's him and Sauce, and then there's a bit of a drop-off to McDuffie and Gordon, but I think he's a second corner, and he can go top 10. Okay, now to the Jets, back on the clock for their second pick in the top 10, a wide receiver to help out Zach Wilson, Peter. Love this. They didn't get one. They didn't get one in free agency. They didn't get Tyreek Hill. I know everyone wants to see them in New York go get DK Metcalf or A.J. Brown or Deebo Samuel. I'm not sure how likely that is. Jameson is the guy for me, and this could be Garrett Wilson. I think wide receiver is the position for the Jets at 10. They view Elijah Moore as a promising talent. They like Corey Davis. They don't have that number 1 guy. Jameson Williams can be that number 1 guy. That ALC, or the ACL, NBD really for them because he has so much talent. And
when you look at the wide receivers in this draft, I mean, do you think that he really will still end up being the first one off the board despite the injury?
I don't think he'll be the first one, but I think he's in that conversation. Okay. I think some teams do view him as the best wide receiver in this draft, especially when you take into account this is just an ACL. This is not something that we haven't seen before. He can recover. And when you go to the tape and you see what he looks like when he's fully healthy, dynamic is one of those words that comes to mind because he just looks like he operates at a different speed than everybody else on the field, where you can throw little slants and bubbles, and then you see what he does after the catch. The route running for a linear kind of high-end, high-speed player, you see some nuance with the route running, especially the more he went through the year, you saw it just continue to get better. But this is the stuff right here. When you can settle, stop and start, and just blow the doors off of everybody that's trying to cover you. Again, these double moves, we saw him dialed up over and over again. And for a vertical player, you got to be able to track the ball over your shoulder. He does that with ease. He's a player that's not going to require 8 touches to impact the game. You can get him the ball 2 or 3 times, and he's going to be able to get you points. He's going to be able to get you big yards. It's a different body type than Tyreek Hill, but the same impact.
Yeah, big-time impact player. And I think the number one thing in this evaluation is fit and scheme. What are you projecting him to do? What role are you playing? And how does it fit into the scheme? I don't believe he's a true number one receiver, but what I do believe he is a perimeter playmaker. When you have an established number one who can do the dirty work, this is the home run hitter. And so in the Jets situation, I don't know if he's the number one, but I do believe pushing the ball down the field, allowing him to run those vertical routes will add more pop to your offense. You'll score more points because that is his role. That's what he does really well.
Yeah, and a lot of Jets fans, I'm in the New York market, are like, let's just wait till the second round. We got to pick. I think there's going to be a run on wide receivers, and you'll see it in my mock draft. I think the Jets go and they get one at 10 overall. If it's not Williams, it might be Wilson, or it might even be another one. I don't think they're going to wait to get that wide receiver and just hope one falls to them in the second round.
He is just so smooth, over 1,500 receiving yards, 15 touchdowns, averaged almost 20 yards per catch, or over 20 yards per catch. He is just so talented. Top 10 pick maybe before and after the ACL injury or the ALC.
He might like an LDC, by the way, after he
I knew it was coming. I knew it.
ACL.
All right, so Williams closes out Peter's top 10. Here's another look at how the first tier of picks shake out. Peter projects Trayvon Walker first overall to Jacksonville. Kayvon Thibodeau will get the call from the Jets. Offensive tackle Charles Cross makes the top 5, landing with the Giants, and the Panthers pick up Kenny Pickett, the Pittsburgh quarterback, with the 6th overall selection. Coming up, though, the wide receiver dominoes, they will fall. Which team starts the run on pass catchers? More Mock Draft Live straight ahead. Ready or not, it's almost here. The 2022 NFL Draft live from Vegas. The biggest, the baddest, the brightest NFL Draft coming your way, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on NFL Network. Peter, I'll see you there, along with wide receiver Garrett Wilson, one of the 21 players attending the draft, and he won't have to wait long, going 11th to the Commanders in your mock.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin contract situation aside, I think they go back to Columbus for a wide receiver. He's number one on a lot of teams' boards I've spoken to. I don't think he escapes the top 15. Washington makes a lot of sense.
Wilson met with Washington Monday. Drake London will also visit with them this week. Now the Vikings are up next. The new regime desperately needs to address this defense, and you've set them up with pass rusher Jermaine Johnson.
The pride of Eden Prairie, Minnesota comes home. I think, honestly, if Stingley's on the board, he's the pick. One of his coaches at LSU is now a coach at the Vikings, and got the Patrick Peterson connection with LSU, but I don't think he is. I think they just beef up on the defensive line, can't get enough pass rush. Jermaine Johnson to Mini.
He was basically unblockable at the Senior Bowl. He was so good. He's impressed ever since. Then at 13, Texans, they're up again, and after mocking Ike Ekwonu, 3rd overall to Houston, Peter, the Texans have safety Kyle Hamilton fall to them.
I think Nick Caserio would be doing flips in his room in Houston if he was able to get Ickey and Kyle Hamilton, two guys who could be building blocks to whatever they're building down there in Houston. It's Houston 2.0. They're really trying to start something new. And gosh, Kyle Hamilton, I see him top 10 everywhere. If he falls out of the top 10, you're getting a player. I think he might. Number 13 makes sense to me.
Yeah, and they lost Justin Reed to Kansas City. He got paid, so it's definitely a need. Then Eric DeCosta is on the clock here for the Ravens at 14, and you have them picking Trevor Penning.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson would like this pick. They lost Zeus Brown last year, who was that mean, nasty guy at offensive tackle. We know Stanley, hopefully he's going to be back. But gosh, I look at what they get in Penning. It's an angry technician. Smaller market in northern Iowa, but guess what? He can play at the next level. I think he goes top 15.
A potential replacement, too, for Orlando Brown. Then Philly's turn to pick, and at 15, Peter, you have them taking a wide receiver for the first round, in the first round for the 3rd straight year. This is kind of their thing now.
Yeah, do you think Howie cares? They do wide receiver like no one else. And look, they got 10 picks. There's a few good wide receivers in this draft. If they've got one on the board, I can see it. Now, Drake London comes from USC, where Nelson Aguilar was out of, and people might cringe, or J.J. Arcega-Whiteside memories of going to the Pac-12. I just think Drake London's body type works perfectly with Devonte Smith in that offense.
A perfect 1-2 punch with those two wide receivers. Now, Drake London, one of your picks that remained unchanged from your first mock draft. We're going to do a little mock versus mock. It's you versus yourself. 7 players total going to the same team that you projected early on. You still have Kenny Pickett going to Carolina, Jordan Davis to New Orleans, Malik Willis to Pittsburgh, and Devonte Wyatt landing in Green Bay, among others. Now, Peter, you're clearly feeling good about those 7 picks, but which selection are you most confident in?
I'm going to go with the positions. I think the Jets and the Eagles are taking wide out at 10 and 15. And if we want to get into it, we could say, well, this player doesn't make sense because Howie's perfect. Positions. And I'll go Drake London here with the Eagles at 15. I think there's going to be a run on these wide receivers. Olave, London, Wilson. All of a sudden it gets a little thin, and if you're like, well, they'll just take Sky Moore, or they'll just take, one of the Dotson. I don't think they're in the same group as that top 5. So Eagles have so many picks, 15, 18, and then 8 others. They're going to take a wide receiver. I don't doubt it. We know that Sirianni's an offensive head coach, and I don't think Howie Roseman is scared of just going right back into the well and taking that position again, even if Jalen Reagor has not worked out and Justin Jefferson is all world up there in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with Peter on that one. I like that call there with the Eagles going in that direction. I also like Trevor Penning with the Baltimore Ravens. I kind of look at 2 players with the Ravens. I look at Penning on the offensive side of the ball, and then I look on the defensive side of the ball with Jordan Davis. What do they have in common? They're massive human beings. Mm-hmm. The Ravens covet size. They covet physicality. Those are those types of players. And when you've had an injury to a tackle like they've had there with the Baltimore Ravens, you realize having too many is a good thing. You want to have some depth. Ronnie Stanley missing all that time. You hope he's coming back and being healthy. But if not, Trevor Penning gives you a lot of that depth that you need. Remember, they signed Morgan Moses as well. So too many offensive tackles, no such thing.
No such thing. And we're talking about defensive tackle. How about Devonte Wyatt for the Green Bay Packers? This is a Packers team that wants to continue to improve their defense. And they have a ton of athletes on that front line. Rashawn Gary comes to mind. But adding another dynamic athlete at the front line, remember, they are trying to build this team to be able to chase titles. And the way you chase titles, you got to be able to chase quarterbacks. Devonte Wyatt is a guy, especially against the run, but he also has some pass rush ability.
I also love Jameson Williams to the Jets, someone for Zach Wilson to throw one of those pretty deep balls to. I think that would be a perfect fit. Back to the mock, though, where we left off at the Eagles, taking Drake London in both of Peter's mocks. This begins the mini run on wide receivers. Schrager shifted from Garrett Wilson to Chris Olave for the Saints and has the Chargers now drafting Traelin Burks at 17. So, DJ, which team sets off the run on wideouts here? Does Schrager have it right?
Well, I'm going to go really, really controversial here and say it's the Murray had it, right? It's the 15. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. That's where the run starts. Just because you look at the needs, you match it up with that little run that you go on, which I'm sure the Baltimore Ravens love seeing that, because what you want to be in a draft where there's depth is you want to be positioned before run, because that's when your phone rings. That's when you can get out and get a lot of picks. I do think if you want a wideout, I think that 14th pick is going to be for sale.
Yeah, it's going to be for sale. You talk about the Baltimore Ravens at 14. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. It's natural that when you're looking at the Saints and you think about Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, trying to help these guys. Well, you need Michael Thomas to return, but you also need another baller that can make plays on the other side. And so where this draft is, to be in the middle of the first round, you get your choice of ballers at that point. And based on how the first part of the draft looks, man, you should have your choice. You got to make a move at 16.
Picks 15 through 19, that's the sweet spot, with the Eagles and the Saints having 4 of those 5 picks. Now, Peter, let's get to the last run, or the last wide receiver in that run, Traelin Burks to the Chargers with Justin Herbert. Now, most mocks have an offensive lineman here, but you doubled down 2 straight mocks with a wide receiver over a tackle. Why?
Yeah, I mean, look, Rashawn Slater's a pretty good offensive lineman. They got him last year. Corey Linsley is one of the highest paid centers. They got him last year. We go right down the list. The Chargers are good at the offensive line. Wide receiver, they've got talent, but when you've got Justin Herbert in this window with the rookie contract, give him as much as he can get. And Burks, who I think could be even higher than Drake London on some teams' boards, if he's available there, I don't know the long-term future of Keenan Allen at wide receiver. You can't have enough when you've got Justin Herbert. I am going to say Traelin Burks is not a crazy pick for the Chargers. In both my mock drafts, I have them going wide receiver. Again, sweet spot of the draft when the run is going on. And also, hey, you've got that rookie quarterback under that rookie contract. Let's give him all the weapons we possibly can while we're still paying him next to nothing.
Yeah, and I look at the Chargers and I look at right tackle, a place they could go. You talk about wide receiver there, you think of corner. If Traelin Burks does go there, though, you think the offensive line's going to like him? Every offensive lineman I've ever met loves to fish and hunt. The only problem is they're going to invite Burks to come on the trip, and they're going to go hunting, and they're going to go, where's your weapon? And he's going to go, you guys use weapons? I wrestle wild boar. Like, this is a different wide receiver.
He just needs his bare hands.
He's Rambo.
Yeah, he is a different wide receiver, and you're right. You do begin to wonder, are they going to just upgrade the weapons around Justin Herbert and say, hey, man, go win every shootout in the Wild Wild West that the AFC West has become? And so Traelin Burks would be a nice fit. He's tall, he's athletic, kind of fits the mold of what they have when you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and another supersized playmaker.
He literally is, the comparison is A.J. Brown and Crocodile Dundee. Like, that's the combination of what you get there with Traelin Burks.
Crocodile Dundee. I did not have that on my bingo card. That's one of my favorite movies ever. All right, I digress. But listen, Traelin Burks.
You call that a mock?
Yeah. Big, that's physical wide receiver with those yards after catch. He actually, when you look at the comps here, similar body type, similar testing numbers as well to N'Keal Harry. Traelin Burks hoping to get off to a more productive start to his career. Let's hear some more from Traelin Burks.
And he does it again! My, oh my, Traelin Burks.
I would describe my style of play as big, physical, being able to play fast.
Traelin Burks putting on a show.
Just being that guy that the quarterback and offense can count on. Just to dominate. Traelin Burks, wide receiver, University of Arkansas.
Superman puts out the cape.
I'm from a small town called Warren, Arkansas. There's maybe 5,000 people there. Football was really big in Warren. You know, I started off as a water boy for the varsity football team, and then so happened I ended up playing for There's no place like Warren. My great-grandma, she's hardworking. She's the type that motivates me to always want to do better than what I've done. So making it to the NFL was something that I've always wanted to do, but she wants to see me as a Hall of Famer one day.
Touchdown, Traelin Burks.
Just knowing that my great-grandma and great-grandfather sacrificed for me when I was little, going out there on the field knowing that I'm sacrificing, you know, blood, sweat, tears, just for a real reason, and that's for them. Just having that edge about me, just to play my heart out to win.
Traelin Burks for the Arkansas touchdown.
Draft day is going to be pretty crazy. Growing up in a small town, there's not many people that make it out of Warren and pursue their dreams into playing in the NFL. It's just an honor just to know that the day is coming that I possibly could get drafted. It's just going to be words that I can't explain, honestly.
Can't wait to see where Burks and the rest of the wide receivers land, especially with all these mock draft receipts everywhere. How about the linebackers, though? Who's going where and who's left hanging by the phone? Find out when Mock Draft Live returns.
Devin Lloyd, linebacker.
Tipped. Devin Lloyd picks it off.
2021 Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year.
And we're back with Devin Lloyd, who Peter is mocking to the Eagles with the 18th pick. Now, don't stare directly into this pick because it might burn your eyes like a solar eclipse. It's a very rare event for the Eagles to take a first-round linebacker. It's only happened twice in the common draft era, not since Marcus Smith in 2014. The Eagles ranked bottom 10 in both sacks and takeaways, and Lloyd can provide a little bit of everything for that defense. Lloyd is Bucky's top linebacker, as we see his top 5 on the screen right there, and that's the last you'll see of the others because Peter, well, only has one linebacker in his first-round mock, so Nakobe Dean will be stuck in Vegas a little longer than expected, which is never a good thing. That never works out. You don't want to stay longer than you planned. So why is Devin Lloyd the only first-round linebacker, DJ?
Well, I just think you look at the premium positions, and it's just not viewed as such. When you look at this league, you look around at teams that are investing. They're investing in pass rushers, corners, wide receivers, quarterbacks, obviously. But when you look at off-the-ball linebackers, teams saying we can get them in the middle rounds. We can find them in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. They can come in. We can plug them in. They can play out that first contract, and then we can let them roll. When you look at Devin Lloyd, the reason why I think he's got a chance to be that one guy is because he kind of fits the specs. Not only just an off-the-ball linebacker. You can rush him some off the edge, as you see here. He's got big-time play speed. He ran in the 4.6s, but he plays much faster than that. He's instinctive in the pass game. He's got those long, rangy arms. If you think about the linebackers having success in the league right now, you think about Darius Leonard, you think about Fred Warner. He's got that same body type. So I'm with Peter in kind of trying to forecast what's going to happen here. I think because of his unique traits with his length and his ability to do multiple things, that gives him a chance to go in the first round. But I do think he's a chance he's the only one.
Yeah, I'm going to use your terminology. He's a red star player, meaning he's a player that I know is going to make it. He's going to figure it out because he has so many things in the toolbox that will allow him to be successful in any scheme. If you want to see him rush, he can come off the edge. You want to see him blitz, he can blitz like a Tasmanian devil. You want to see him drop into coverage, he can get his hands on balls. He's a high IQ player who's also a gym rat, a hard worker. Those guys tend to find a way to be successful in the league. And oh, by the way, check his stat sheet. He's very productive.
Yeah, I came into the combine with Nakobe Dean as not only a top 10 prospect, but also my #1 linebacker. I had a GM tell me, go look at the tape of Devin Lloyd against Stanford, the interception that he had in that game and what he did. It's not even a question. It's Lloyd over Dean. And Dean could be a great leader, and he could be the alpha of the room. And there's a lot of great Georgia players in this draft. It's nothing against Nakobe Dean, but physically, when you talk about the traits, you talk about the athleticism, Devin Lloyd lines up with those Darius Leonard types. Devin Lloyd lines up with those Fred Warner types. I'm not sure teams are looking at Nakobe Dean the same way, and that might not be fair. And guess what? We might regret the day that we watched 32 teams pass on Nakobe Dean. He might be the great next linebacker, as he was in college, where he was the best one. I just didn't have a place for him in the first round in this mock draft.
Peter, we've seen teams devalue the linebacker position. It's sort of like the running back position of the defense at this point. So I can see that trend all over the place. But moving along here, we mentioned earlier, Jordan Davis, he's going to the Saints at 19, Malik Willis at 20. No change from Peter's earlier mock. So we pick it up at 21, and Peter has the Patriots taking Trent McDuffie. So he would step in as an immediate upgrade. According to PFF, he allowed the fewest receiving yards by any FBS corner with at least 30 targets. Last season, it's been a while since Bill Belichick drafted a first-round defender, so you got to throw it back 7 years to Malcolm Brown. This would be a shocker, but someone that they need. So Green Bay is next on the clock, and Peter picks up a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers, Jahan Dotson. Let's play the game, guys. The last time the Packers drafted a first-round wide receiver, 2002.
This is Bucky's favorite game
okay,
to
ready?
play.
The first cell phone with a built-in camera was released.
Ooh, nice. Oh.
Low-rise jeans were peak fashion at that point.
those.
And my
Bucky still
hair
likes
was
those.
just about as long as Daniel Jeremiah's.
High and tight. There's nothing wrong with
What
that.
a time to be alive. Anyway, the Packers, they need to offset that loss of Devonte Adams. Somehow they do it right here. Next 4 picks in Peter's mock. Arizona drafts interior lineman Zion Johnson out of BC. Then the Cowboys go in the same direction and address the offensive line with the Iowa center Tyler Linderbaum. The Bills at 25 give some love to the run game with Breece Hall. And another offensive lineman goes 26 overall to Tennessee, offensive tackle Kenyon Green. And that's where Now Meets Next, presented by FedEx. Our player comps portion of the program. Breece Hall, Peter's first and only first-round running back. Let's get to know a little bit more about him, Bucky.
So he reminds me a lot of Matt Forte when Matt Forte was coming out of Tulane. When you watch Breece Hall at Iowa State, this is a guy that really puts up numbers in a variety of different ways. When you look at the points, 56 career touchdowns, over 4,200 all-purpose yards while he was there. And he's a guy who, look, the quickness, short area shows up. He also has a little craftiness when he gets into the secondary to make things happen, and he's a natural pass catcher, over 80 receptions during his time as a Cyclone. Much like Matt Forte was able to dominate the game as a kind of hybrid out the backfield, I see Breece Hall having similar traits.
Yeah, the 2 traits that stand out to me, the patience and the pass catching ability. Those are 2 things Matt Forte was known for, and I think you see the same things there with Breece Hall. I question how fast he was because he never looks like he's fully, hitting that top speed. He never got caught. And then he goes to the combine and ran in the 4.3s, and I was like, yeah, apparently fast enough.
His cousin is Roger Craig, so I mean,
high knees, Roger Craig with those high knees,
right there.
Love it.
Okay, how about we're going to stick with the position, and because there was only one in Peter's mock draft, let's go to Kenneth Walker here.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker to me is just a runner. I love the kind of angry style that he has, and I think of Damian Harris coming out of Alabama, and he's going to go higher than Damian Harris went, but these guys both run low to the ground, and they finish every single run. They do a great job of turning 3- and 4-yard runs into 10, 12, 13-yard runs. And we've seen him greatly outpace where he was picked, and I think Kenneth Walker, if he ends up going kind of in the middle of the second round, I think teams might look back on that and say, man, that was a similar mistake.
Yeah, similar mistake, but that's really the sweet spot. That's where we've seen all these running backs go in the last few years. These second and third round backs have had a ton of success, going back to Nick Chubb and some of the other guys they're taking. Jonathan Taylor was also a second round pick. So when I think about both of these guys, Kenny Walker in particular, he's a tough physical runner that finds a way to get into the paint. He's a terrific pro prospect.
We need him to go to one of the New York teams so we can get the Skywalker thing going again. Let's keep that. Let's bring it back.
I love that. All right. We're going to bring a lot back because we're coming right back here on Mock Draft Live. That was Where Now Meets Next, presented by FedEx. And next for us, decisions. Tom Brady, well, his team is up next with the Packers following. So who's joining Brady and Rodgers on their ride for another ring? Stick around for some answers next. Welcome back to Schrager's Mock Madness. Checking in on pick 27, the Bucks. They scoop up a new safety, Daxton Hill. First team all Big Ten. Hill would join a safety room with 2020 second-round pick Antoine Winfield and veteran Logan Ryan, who Tampa Bay signed in the offseason. It's perfect. Hill could play in the slot, allow Winfield to roam. Almost too perfect, Peter. And after selecting their first wide receiver in the Aaron Rodgers' era, Jahan Dotson at 22, the Packers add more to an interior defensive line that already features two-time Pro Bowler Kenny Clark and Jerron Reed. Devonte Wyatt was a first-team All-SEC selection, dominated Senior Bowl practices, and was PFF's highest-graded Power 5 interior defensive lineman in 2021. So the Packers, one of a few lucky teams with multiple first-round picks. Here we go. As you can see, they joined Detroit, Houston, the Jets, Giants, Eagles, Saints, and the Chiefs. Those teams hoping to come out of this draft on the good side.
Hold on, I need
Griffles.
about 30 more seconds. I'm trying to read all these.
No, we don't have time. Come on, we gotta go. This draft is going without us. So, of those teams with multiple shots on Thursday night, who's waking up feeling real good about themselves on Friday morning, Peter?
Yeah, I think the New York Giants can't miss in this one. And it's not like a threat that, like, if they miss, I don't think they can miss. I think there are some really, really talented players in that 5 to 7 spot that they really can't go wrong because of all the needs they have. So I've got them taking Charles Cross and Sauce Gardner. And, you know, people might say, well, how can you take Charles Cross over Evan Neal? That's a debate. Whatever. They're both great offensive tackles in this draft. If they wanted to go Sauce at 5 and then take, oh, I don't know, Jermaine Johnson at 7, that's fine too. The wild card is if the Giants were to go really outside the box and say, I don't know, consider taking a quarterback if they fell in love with one. I don't see that happening. I don't think New York can mess this up. No matter who they get at 5 and 7 are going to be immediate upgrades at the positions that they currently have on the field. I love Sauce, and I really like that Cross is a big pass protection guy, something that we know that they need, especially in Brian Daboll's new offense.
Now, Peter talks to everybody, has a million sources, but let's be honest, Sauce and Cross he just liked the wordplay.
It's so good.
And that's why
I love it.
He went there. I mean, let's be honest. Call a spade a spade. I like the Kansas City Chiefs where they're situated in this draft because you have 2 late ones. You've got an opportunity to address a couple needs. Peter did that with Karlaftis and with Kyler Gordon. They get an edge rusher and a corner. But you also have to take into account they could go Wyatt if they wanted. Where they're positioned at the bottom of the first round, teams want to come back up for a quarterback to get the 5th-year option. Kansas City's going to have their phone ringing as well. So they're going to have a lot of good options in a draft where I don't know there's much difference between pick 20 and pick 60. They're positioned with 2 picks right in there to get 2 really good players.
Look, I like both of those teams. What the Giants have done is outstanding. What you're talking about, being able to get ready. But how about the Houston Texans? Taking best player available never will lead you wrong, and that's what they're able to do. Ike Ekwonu at 3 is terrific. You talk about a guy who has that nasty mauler-brawler mentality, changes the demeanor of this offensive line. And then Kyle Hamilton, being able to get him in the middle of the first round, a guy who I think is one of the top 5 players in this draft class, changing the tenor of the defense. 2 thermostat leaders. That's what the Texans have been able to add by simply taking the best player available at each of their selections.
That's a fantastic night for the Texans. They would end up with 2 of DJ's top 4 players after night 1. I love it. That was Good Side presented by Griffles, and this has been a great time with Peter Schrager. Excellent work,
nice work,
friend. Working overtime here. Go take a nap. You got to be up early for GMFB. Thank you again, my friend.
I love all 3 of you. You do a great job, and I love this show. I can't wait for draft. We're just less than 10 days away. Let's go.
We'll
Dinner's
see you
on
there.
Yes,
dinner is on you.
I'll see you out there, brother.
All right, these are the final few picks of Peter's Mock 2.0, 29 through 32. The Chiefs draft some edge support with George Karlaftis, followed by Washington corner Kyler Gordon, who will have plenty of work in that AFC. It's loaded. The Bengals, they get Burrow, more help on the offensive line with Tulsa's Tyler Smith, and the Lions pick up quarterback Matt Corral with the last pick in the first round. So that means no Desmond Ritter, who's getting a lot of buzz a week out from Vegas. Some, including Charles Davis, have him as the 2nd quarterback off the board, ahead of Peter's number 1 quarterback. Kenny Pickett will solve the Ritter riddle.
I have a similar signature, by the way.
You do?
Yeah.
You kind of do, actually. Holy smokes, I can't believe it. It's already here, basically. Coming up next week, we are 9 days away, Thursday, April 29th. It is the 2022 NFL Draft live from Vegas, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on NFL Network. DJ, do you know what you're wearing yet?
Probably the same thing I've worn the last 5 years. Don't tell anybody.
All right, cool. I'm going to try and follow the same plan. Desmond Ritter is one of the most interesting prospects of this draft class, a lightly recruited quarterback who helped Cincinnati make history as the first non-Power 5 team to reach the college football playoff. Now, back in Indy, the potential first-rounder sat down with Mooch in this installment of Draw My Play.
There he is.
How's it going?
Desmond Ritter.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for coming in.
No, thank you for having me.
Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yes, sir.
What the heck's a Bearcat anyway? I don't know what a Bearcat is.
It's a little almost muskrat-looking animal, a little furry-looking creature.
So how do you end up at Cincinnati and not Louisville?
They were one of 2 offers that I had. My other offer was Eastern Kentucky. Coach Zach Taylor came down to
Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals.
Head coach of the Bengals, baby.
He recruited you?
He recruited me.
Well, he was the OC quarterback coach?
OC quarterback coach at the time. About 3 hours later, they gave me an offer.
You stayed at Cincinnati for 4 years. Did you consider coming out a year early?
Yeah. You know, I kind of sat back and looked at it and said, you know what? You know, I want to go be a top guy, one of the guys that they don't even have to question who the #1 quarterback is in the class.
Time out. Does that mean you're the #1 quarterback in this class?
Yes. My athletic ability sets me apart from, you know, a lot of these guys out on the field in my class.
Well, you threw 87 touchdowns, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
A lot of those were red zone touchdowns. Well, let me give you a red zone play. Brown right in the West Coast offense, and I will tell you right now, most teams run concepts of the West Coast offense. Brown right is weak set, all right? And then we're going to put the flanker right there and the X right there. You know who that guy was for me? That was number 80, Jerry Rice from Mississippi Valley State. Best ever, all right? This happened to be a guy from Chattanooga, right? T.O., all right? So here's Brown right, A right. Okay. He's going to go 2 jet is the protection. You slide protect, right?
Yep.
Right. And this guy's going to run a smoke or a hitch, depending on game plan. This is in the red zone. Let's say it's on the 14-yard line, all right? We want to score. Who's your best player?
Jerry Rice, Alec Pierce.
Okay, that might mean if it's 3 deep zone, he's going to just go in the seam. You're going to shoot it to your best player, right? If it happens to be cover 2 and that safety is there, he's going to run the post inside here. He runs a shake, boom, boom, right here.
Take it if it's there.
If it's cover 2, he's going to stem down inside and use him up, keep him away from there, and he's going to run the shake or the corner route over here. The tight end now, he would run the shallow cross. You sit against zone. If this corner is soft, he would see green grass and he'd keep coming, okay?
Yep.
All right? So that's Brown right, A right, 2 jets of protection, flanker short post, X shake.
Like it.
Tell me about your daughter.
Oh, my daughter's my everything.
That pulled a smile out of your face.
Yeah, Leighton, miss her name. We're playing her 1-year-old birthday party right now.
Do you see any similarities between being a leader of men and being a parent?
I would say, you know, there's a couple similarities. First one is being able to be responsible and take control. I would say those are the 2 main things.
All right, draw my play.
Yep.
What's the formation?
You got Brown right.
Yeah, what else?
A short.
He's going to go which direction?
He's going to go motion.
A right.
Motion outside.
All right.
2 jet is the protection.
Yep. Who is that for me?
This is the flanker. This is Jerry Rice here.
All right, you got to get him the ball, huh?
Yep. Verse 1 high. He's going to keep it up the seam. Tight end here is going to be on a shallow route. He's got the option to sit verse zone. He's got the option to continue verse man.
Yeah.
And then back here, this is T.O. back here. And he's going to run what we like to call a shake route. And then if it's cover 2, and this safety, it's 2 high safety, and this guy's cheating over here a little bit because he got Jerry Rice over here. We want an inside release here, stem at him to get his attention to pull him back over this way and then break to the corner here. Yeah. And then our tailback here, relationship, good history with them. Yeah. I'm going to take that all day.
And your #1 receiver is right here in the seam, and you're going to take that, huh?
Yeah, so.
You better complete it.
Better complete it. And so then if we got 2 high here like we do, and instead of him running a seam, he's going to cross his safety's face, and we're going to bang it right here for a touchdown.
You're a smart guy. You're going to be able to do this very well. Proud of you, man. Keep it going, okay?
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Love it. Ritter actually mentioned right there that he was planning his daughter's 1-year-old birthday party, and today is her birthday. So happy birthday to Leighton. All right, so Bucky, all of this talk about Ritter, does he have the tools to come in and start right away?
I think he has intriguing tools. I don't know if you start right away, but I do believe his experience will allow him to play well whenever he does get his opportunity. We'll look at the tape, and you'll see what I'm talking about. First thing that stands out to me is right here, the accuracy. You can see him throw it in a nice tight window. DJ talks about putting it in the mailbox. Well, there's the mailbox. It's a little high, but he puts it in the mailbox. Quick release, ball is out. There you see him throw it in a tight little window. He can do those things. Here, we're going to see him take a shot down the field, drop it right down the chimney. Boop. Strong enough arm to make those plays. It's the athleticism that adds to his game. He is a playmaker. You see him rolling out, little scramble, eyes down the field. He will find a way to continue to make plays. In today's game, you have to have quarterbacks that can create. He does that. Another improvisational play that leads to a score. He has a lot of intriguing tools. He's experienced. He's mature. It's just who wants to build an offense around his talents? He's certainly talented enough to be a starter in this league early, though.
It's easy to buy into the person. Like, you can just see it, just the thing he did with Mooch. Like, he is incredibly smart. He's mature. Everybody loves the person. Now, the accuracy needs to improve. There was a great example in that throw of him delivering the ball where he wants it, but sometimes he gets a little too wide with his base, impacts his accuracy. That's an area he needs to get better. But you believe in the kid, you buy in on him, and hope that it's all going to come together in time.
Well, Ritter, he obviously has the 3rd most wins by an FBS quarterback all time. We'll see if whoever takes him ends up getting a winner in Ritter. It seems like it after watching him with Mooch for sure. So thanks, guys, for watching Mock Draft Live presented by FedEx. Our finale is coming up on Sunday. That's right. Us 3 along with Brett Lewis. I know I'm going to pick for the Eagles. Yep. We're going to do all 32 picks. Make sure you check it out right here on the network at 8. And until then, everybody stay classy, kids. We'll see you on Sunday. No, I'm not going to take a linebacker. I'm not doing it. Howie, don't do it. How about a wide receiver? They could definitely use that.
We've never done that before. Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out of here. So are you.